Hey, what's going on, you guys? It's Toby's Talk Show. This is the 16th episode, and today we are back talking about free agency part 2. So, basically, not everything is done yet, but free agency is pretty much almost over, as in all the notable players have been traded, signed, franchise tagged. Jadeveon Clowney has not been signed yet. Cam Newton, we haven't seen what he's going to do. Same thing with Jameis Winston, but we will get into that in a new video if something happens in the next few days, or I could just make a short video about it. We will see. But today we will be talking about all the other notable free agents that are notable moves that occurred during this free agency. So we'll first start off with a pretty obvious news that Drew Brees re-signed with the Saints. No one expected him to go anywhere. What I did find surprising was that Drew Brees talked about retiring. He thought he was going to during the Pro Bowl. He thought he was retiring. He was telling players that. He was telling coaches that. He was like, "Look, guys, I'm going to retire." We now know that he is not doing that. He's resigning. It's most likely a 1-year deal and then an option, or they'll obviously give him the option after this year. This may be his last year, it may not be, but at least we know that he will be back for this year. The next thing we have is, of course, Philip Rivers becoming a Colt. I know I mentioned it in the last video, but I didn't really talk about it. This is very interesting because I thought Philip Rivers might go to the Patriots or somewhere where he knew he had the starting job. Obviously, we don't know what they talked about, when they were doing the contract. Maybe Philip Rivers was like, look, I need to start. There hasn't been any news about who's starting with him or Jacoby Brissett. We don't know that yet. But it's interesting to think about that him and Jacoby Brissett will be fighting for the starting job. I think Philip Rivers is still a very good quarterback, and I think he has the talent to maybe do something with the Colts, not make it far at all because they don't have that great of talent surrounding Philip if he starts. But I mean, maybe they can make some noise. Maybe try to squeeze into a wild card. I mean, now that there's 7 teams per, maybe they can get that 7th seed. We don't know. We will see. But I thought it was very interesting. Next, Emmanuel Ogba signs with the Dolphins. Not that big of news. He's a pretty solid, just more Dolphins. So the Dolphins look like it's just more just showing that the Dolphins look like they could be maybe fighting for that 7-6 seed. The next big news is that Cam Newton has been allowed to request a trade, as in the Panthers. I guess we can hop into it right now. Teddy Bridgewater obviously signed a 3-year, $60 million deal with the Panthers, which means Cam Newton is gone from the team. Like, he's not starting there anymore. So when they say that they're letting him search for a trade, it's really like, Cam, like, you're gonna be moved, so we're gonna let you, find somewhere you want to go, even though Cam didn't want to leave. Cam wanted to stay. Cam looked like he would be back this year, but I guess the Panthers had other ideas. I think the Panthers are trying to rebuild and not, and Teddy Bridgewater is a little younger than Cam. So I guess that's what the route they're taking. I'm not really sure. I think the Panthers are going to tank this year. I thought they were going to tank fully and try to get Trevor Lawrence. I don't know. Maybe they are still going to try to do that and trade Teddy Bridgewater away. But it is very interesting that Cam Newton will be on a different team next year. Yeah. Chase Daniel signs with the Lions. That's just a backup. Matthew Stafford's still there. Matthew Stafford is the starter. Let's see. Robert Quinn signed a 5-year, $70 million deal with the Bears. As I am a Cowboys fan, I did get to watch Robert Quinn a lot last year, and he's very good. He gets to the quarterback very quickly. So for the Bears, this is very good. Their offense, there are a lot of question marks, so I don't think they're going to be a playoff team next year. Mitch Trubisky is still their quarterback, even though they signed Nick Foles. And I guess we could hop into that right now. But let's first talk about Robert Quinn. Robert Quinn's very good. He had a lot of sacks last year. After a down year with the Dolphins, the Cowboys got him for cheap, and he went crazy. He got the money he deserved. And now he's with the Bears alongside Khalil Mack. So I think the defense could still be very good for the Bears. It's just the fact that their offense sucks. But they did sign Nick Foles that we could jump into right now. Nick Foles is kind of a surprising thing. I thought they'd go after Cam Newton just because I think Cam Newton has more potential. If Mitch Trubisky, is not working out this year, I think they'll let him go. But they did get Nick Foles for the next 3 years. I think he'll put a lot of pressure on Mitch Trubisky, just like Mariota is doing. With the Raiders. But it's very interesting. Mitch Trubisky now is competition. Last year he really didn't. Chase Daniels wasn't doing anything. So we will see. Next is Corey Littleton signing with the Raiders. That's a very big deal. He gets $12 million a year, and Corey Littleton isn't like a big name for agent, but he's a very good player. He is a solid player. He really played well with the Rams, And now the Raiders get a strong defensive piece. I know the Raiders are going to try to make some more moves and try to make a playoff push. I know that Gruden does not want to tank, and so we will see. The next move we have is let's see, Jalen Mills re-signing with the Eagles. Sorry, I just had to look at my phone to see everything. I have a list. Jalen Mills is signing with the Eagles. That's not that surprising. They need more cornerback help, and as I keep going, you'll find out that they got more cornerback help last night. Let's see. The Dolphins signed Gruger Hill. He's a solid linebacker. He was with the Eagles. I got to watch him 2 times since I am a Cowboys fan. I get to watch Eagles versus Cowboys. So the Dolphins are making a lot of moves. Good for them. Good for them. Um, Next, Schobert. I think that's how you say his name. Signs with the Jaguars. Very underrated deal. I think Joe's a very good linebacker. I know he plays middle linebacker and could also play right and left. And the Jaguars. Um, they're confusing. I think they're rebuilding. I think they're going to try to tank this year. They did trade all their defense players away, but then they signed Joe Schobert, who's not that young. So I'm a little confused what they're trying to do. But yeah. Next, Jordan Howard signed for the Dolphins. He didn't have a lot of talk last year, Jordan Howard. He didn't really do much. Miles Sanders was there for the Eagles. But maybe, I don't know if he'll be the starter next year. He probably will, but we will see. Next, Malcolm Jenkins signs with the Saints. Jenkins has been with the Eagles for a while, but before that he was with the Saints. So I guess it's kind of his comeback tour. He's still a very good safety. I know Malcolm Jenkins. It was more of the money, and they didn't want to pay him, and blah blah blah. But now the Saints get a solid safety. I know they have Von Bell, I think. So maybe he'll pair with him. And maybe Marcus Williams. I know Marcus Williams plays free safety, and Jenkins plays strong safety. We will see. Next, Vic Beasley signs a 1-year, $9.5 million deal with the Titans. This is very interesting. Vic Beasley, he had a very good first few years and then had a few down years. So I guess the Titans are going to see which Vic Beasley they're going to get, and then they'll either try to re-sign him or not. But I think it's worth the risk. Next, Jason Witten signs with the Raiders. This isn't very surprising to me. The Cowboys signed Blake Jarwin, and like I said in the last video, I didn't think Jason Witten would resign, but I did think he would play another year, and he's doing that. He's playing with John Gruden, and a few more Cowboys joined him that we'll talk about in the next few minutes. I know Malik Collins joined, and someone else joined, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But Jason Witten is still like a solid tight end that could give you a few touchdowns a year and like 600 yards. And like I said, Malik Collins signed with the Raiders. He's a good D tackle. He's not, someone that's out of this world, but he's a solid D tackle. And for only, it doesn't say the money, but Malik Collins is a solid tackle. I think he is a little underrated. I got to watch him last year. I thought he was pretty good. Next, Brian Bulaga signed for the Chargers. The Chargers have known to need lineman help, and they got it there. Bulaga still, he's getting old, but he's still a very good lineman. So that's a good move by the Chargers. Let's see. The Eagles signed Rodney McLeod. Rodney McLeod was kind of coming into his role last year, so it made sense that they re-signed him. Big move is that the Bengals signed D tackle DJ Reader on a 4-year, $53 million deal. DJ Reader, he was having a very good season last year. And I guess he was more looking to get paid than he wanted to win and take less salary, which is expected. This is really his first real paycheck, or like big contract, so he deserves it, and it makes sense for him. Hopefully, he could also continue just to play well and get more money in the future. Let's see. Thomas Davis signs with the Redskins. The Redskins are literally the Panthers because they have Ron Rivera, and they're just signing old Panthers players. The Redskins are going to suck again this year. Don't expect anything unless Haskins becomes Patrick Mahomes all of a sudden. Jordan Poyer re-signs with the Bills. 2-year, $20 million deal. He's very good. He deserves it. That Bills defense is very scary. We talked about a few pieces they got yesterday. If you haven't seen that video, go back and watch it. That Bills defense is very scary, and they got their number one in Stephon Diggs yesterday. Trey Wayne signs with the Bengals. So the Bengals are making some defensive moves. Last year, the defense was horrendous. I think they let up like 55 points to the Ravens. But I guess they're starting to get these younger guys that want big money, and they have the money because everyone they have sucks and they're not paying anyone big money. So good for them. With Joe Burrow there next year, you could see maybe they'll win a few more games. Jeff Heath signs with the Raiders, so the Raiders are turning into the Cowboys. Jeff Heath is terrible in my opinion. I wouldn't give him any money. I don't think he deserves to be on an NFL team. He's a good hitter though. He's a hard hitter, but that's nothing else. Um, but I do like Malik Collins for them. Next, we have Carl Nassib signing with the Raiders. Again, the Raiders are, I guess, upgrading their defense a little bit. They have a few pieces. They signed four new defensive pieces in the 10 minutes I've already talked about. Malik Collins, Jeff Heath, Corey Littleton, and Carl Nassib. So they're making moves. Next, the Cowboys re-signed Sean Lee. I didn't think Sean Lee was going to go anywhere either. I think it was either for him retire or stay with the Cowboys, and he decided to stay with the Cowboys. Next move we have is the Jets getting some offensive lineman help signing Connor McGovern. Good deal. He had a nice year last year, so I think it's a good deal. Trey Boston's re-signing with the Panthers. He deserved the money he got. It was 3 years, 18 mil. He played well last year. The Broncos are trading Andy Yanovich. I liked Andy for a 7th-round pick. I mean, I guess fullbacks are easy to come by. They're not that important unless you're a blocking. Like unless there are some fullbacks that are better than other fullbacks, and some fullbacks could block better. Some fullbacks could run routes better, catch better. So fullbacks are important, but obviously not that important if one of the best fullbacks I think in the league get traded for a 7th-round pick. Next thing we have. Jameis Winston will most likely not be a starter next year. That's kind of crazy to me, honestly, because Jameis Winston, sure, he threw 30 picks. But he threw 30 touchdowns and over 5,000 yards. I think a team that's younger, obviously, you're looking at the Bengals and the Dolphins, and they're going to draft Tua and Joe Burrow, so that makes sense. But a team like the Chargers, maybe with the 6th pick, you don't want to draft Justin Herbert, and maybe you go with Jameis Winston. I know you're starting Tyrod Taylor, and we could talk about that next, but I don't know. Maybe, you try Jameis Winston out, and then next year, if you suck, then you go for a quarterback. I don't know. That's just my opinion, unless you fully think Justin Herbert is your guy. And I guess we could talk about it right now. Tyrod Taylor is the Chargers starting quarterback. With the Browns, he won a few games, but he wasn't that good. I don't think he'll be that good. I think the Chargers are going to be terrible next year, unless Justin Herbert comes in. But as long as Tyrod Taylor's there, I don't think they'll win many games. He's just not a great quarterback. But going back to Jameis Winston, I don't know. I just think that a team that knows they're not going to be good that year, or doesn't have a quarterback that they want to start, or doesn't have a quarterback that's maybe a quarterback that's a little older, or a quarterback that's not ready, I would try Jameis Winston out. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Next, Quentin Jefferson signs with the Bills. The Bills are making moves defensively. Watch out. Kiko Alonso resigns with the Saints. He was a good linebacker for them, so I'm not surprised by that. Next, see the Seahawks get some offensive line help with B.J. Finney. They've always needed offensive line help, and they got it there. The next thing we could talk about is that the fact that a lot of people want to come to the Bucs now that Tom Brady's there. So I guess we could spend this next few minutes talking about the Bucs and what I think of them and Tom Brady. So for Tom Brady, this makes sense. I kind of talked about it last time, but you're in Florida now. There's no state tax, and you have a lot of weapons, and the defense is actually underratedly very good. Also, wherever Tom Brady goes, Antonio Brown will probably go, and that is rumored. Antonio Brown is a very good receiver. Imagine having Godwin, Antonio Brown, and Mike Evans as your receivers. That is insane. The Bucs could be a very good team next year, and especially if more free agents want to come over there. Defensively wise, I think offensively wise is pretty good. Maybe they could get a running back like Melvin Gordon and Todd Gurley. That would make sense. Maybe some more offensive line help. O.J. Howard, I think, is a good enough tight end. I don't think you need to go after a tight end. But maybe for the Bucs, maybe they can make some moves this year. There's now 7 spots, so instead of being okay, that's 4 and the 2. Now there's 4 and 3 wild cards. So it's pretty crazy. I think the Bucs have a good shot to make the playoffs next year. Next thing we could talk about is Joe Flacco being cut. I think Joe Flacco's probably done. I don't think any team is interested in him. Maybe it's a backup. But I just think it's probably over for Joe Flacco as him actually playing football. Maybe he'll be on a team in these next few days, or maybe he'll be on a team this season or whatever, but I don't think he'll be playing any more football during the regular season. The next move we have is Gerald McCoy signing with the Cowboys. So the Cowboys make a splash, kind of. Except they've re-signed their guys, but they haven't made a splash outside of that. And Gerald McCoy is the first one on a 3-year. I think it's a $20 million deal. Gerald McCoy, he was very good with the Buccaneers. He was okay on the Panthers, and I guess he's trying to bounce back. We'll see. Gerald McCoy is a better Malik Collins. So they're kind of just upgrading the defensive line. I guess the Cowboys, they're seeing it that way. Um, but yeah, that's all I have to say about that. The next thing is Nick. I talked about Nick Foles already. Jadeveon Clowney's market is falling. We could talk about that quickly. That's not that surprising to me, honestly. Jadeveon Clowney wanted so much money, and I think he only has 2 sacks last year. So yes, we all know he's a very good player, but no one's gonna give $20 million for a linebacker. That's just insane. That's why his market's dropping. Also, a lot of people already signed. At this point, he's not signed yet, and a lot of people already spent their cap. So we'll have to see where he goes, where he lands. But I think it's very interesting that his market dropped that much. Jarrell Casey got traded for a 7th round pick. That's insane. I understand he's getting older, and the money's expensive, and you don't want to pay his contract. But a 7th round pick, that's pretty crazy. The Broncos, I think, got a very good deal off of that. I guess we should talk about the Bill O'Brien thing. Bill O'Brien, news came out that he had a meeting with DeAndre Hopkins, and he compared him to Aaron Hernandez, and then he talked about DeAndre Hopkins' baby mamas. Um, Bill O'Brien might I think the heat's finally turning up on Bill O'Brien. Everyone's known that Bill O'Brien's not a good coach. Shouldn't be the general manager. Doesn't make sense. You should never have your coach be the general manager. Terrible idea. Um, but I think the heat's finally turning up. I think this year will be a year to prove himself for Bill O'Brien. I think Bill O'Brien might be fired after this year if they don't make any moves and don't do anything in the playoffs. I'm telling you right now. You could come back to this video a year later. I'm just saying I think the heat is turning up. The next move is that's actually I was actually very surprised by seeing that Eric Reed was dropped by the Panthers. I thought he was a guy that everyone loved, and supposedly everyone still loves him. I just think they thought that they can move on from him, and I think he'll be re-signed by a team. Obviously, there's controversy around him with the Kaepernick stuff, but I think a team will take it because he is still a very good safety. Linval Joseph signs with the Chargers. They get some more defensive lineman help with Joey Bosa. I like Linval Joseph. I think he'd be very good. Brian Poole resigns with the Jets. Not much to say there. He's a pretty good corner. Jets get their cornerback. Dante Fowler Jr. signs with the Falcons. I guess he's kind of replacing Vic Beasley. Dante Fowler Jr. gets a lot of money out of this deal, 3-year, $48 million deal. But he played a good year with the Rams last year. The Rams are losing a lot of defensive pieces, so keep out for that. Speaking of Rams losing defensive pieces, they did sign Leonard Floyd, so I guess that's their replacement. Leonard Floyd, he has the potential to be very good. They're taking a 1-year deal on him, so they're taking the shot. Like I said before, I forgot who I was talking about, but I think it was Vic Beasley. So just like Vic Beasley, if they don't pan out this 1 year, they can let him go. So they're not taking any real chances. Eli Apple signs with the Raiders. He's terrible, but I guess the Raiders are going in all defensively with new people. Sean Davis signs with the Redskins. He's a guy that could hit very well, but he can't really coverage very well. So we will see. The next actual big news is Chris Harris signing with the Chargers. The Chargers are revamping their defense. We just talked about Linval Joseph being there. You have Joey Bosa. Derwin James will be back next year. So Chris Harris is someone that's getting older, but he's still very good. So it's a big pickup for the Chargers. Obviously, we have to see what happens with their quarterback situation. But if Eckler turns out to be a very good running back starting wise, and the wide receivers stay up to date, then we will see if they can make some noise. Probably not. I don't think they'll be good next year. But the next big news is Andrew Worth gets a 3-year deal. I'm a little confused by this because I thought he wanted to retire a few years ago, but he still could do the job. So that's why the Rams did take it. If he wants to play more, the Rams will take him playing more because he could do the job well. But I just thought it was very interesting that he signed a 3-year deal at 38 years old. I'm kind of skipping by the news that no one really cares about, just because this video is getting a little longer and I can't talk about every single move. Carl Josephs does sign with the Browns. He was a good safety with the Raiders, and I guess I mean, for me, the Browns, they have a pretty good defense. They have a pretty good offense. It's all going to depend on Baker, and it's going to depend on the coaching. That's what I think. I think if Baker and the coaching could get, and the head coach could get it under control, I think they could be very good next year. Um, what other news? Okay. I guess the two big news I guess I could talk about before we wrap this video up is that Josh Gordon will probably be reinstated, and he'll probably be on a lot of teams' radars. Josh Gordon is very good. Obviously, we know he's been very good when he's on the field, but obviously he's had, the weed problems. But now with weed not being allowed, you're not allowed to suspend players for smoking weed. I think he has a chance to, be on a lot of teams' radars and be signed very quickly if, he is reinstated. And Darius Slay gets signed. I said before that the Eagles were going to get cornerback help, and they did with Darius Slay. Darius Slay got more money than Byron Jones, which is a little confusing. But Byron Jones is very young. He got a 5-year deal compared to Darius Slay. Well, I would say more money per year, but Darius Slay only got a 3-year deal. He's getting older, but he's still a very, very, very good cornerback. And the Eagles get some help on the secondary, which they've needed for a while now. So it was a good move by the Eagles. For only a third and a fifth round pick. It makes sense. And yeah, that's really it. So that's all. I'll probably make a short video on if any other big news comes out, or if something about the coronavirus comes out, we will talk about it. But yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. A lot of stuff happened in the NFL free agency. A lot of players will be on a lot of new teams next year. A lot of new faces in different quarterback positions. A lot of teams will look different. A lot of teams will be better than they were last year. And a lot of teams will be worse than they were last year. We will see. But a lot of craziness this right now going on in the world and in free agency. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, punch that notification bell, and comment if you have anything to comment about. Let me know your favorite team down below, and if your team has made any moves that you like or dislike. Anything you guys want to comment, I'm down to talk. I reply to every comment. So don't be scared to comment, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.